This is the Cow Corner, your cricket podcast, and this is your host Prashant. I'm here with Siddharth, and Jatan is vacationing somewhere. He's having a good time, and so are we, because it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, but the reality is, doesn't matter where you're vacationing versus talking about cricket. You know, what would you choose, Siddharth?
Playing cricket.
Playing cricket, even.
I'm not playing 50 over games this weekend, but I'm playing 50 over, I guess 100 overs in total.
In total, awesome. Yeah, definitely much better option to play cricket.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Keep it up and keep us posted with how
shout
it's
out
going.
Club Cricket of Chicago.
Woohoo!
Follow us on YouTube. We live stream all our games. So
Nice.
shout out Club Cricket of Chicago. Watch
Club
us.
Cricket of Chicago,
Yeah.
CCC. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir.
So we're going to do a quick, recap of what's happening in IPL since the last time we spoke. I only have a couple of things actually I want to talk about. But Siddharth, do you want to take it away and tell us what you got for IPL recap? Yep.
Yeah, so let's you know the deal, guys. For first time listeners, we go through winners, losers, what the heck, and MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone who's been listening throughout our journey, you guys know the deal. Let's start with the winners. And I think clearly there are two winners. And then there's one winner whose season kind of doesn't matter anymore. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but that's kind of the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But Sunrisers and Gujarat, I mean, those have got to be the two big winners of this week. And let's start with Gujarat first. Gujarat went
Titans.
the Titans. Gujarat Titans went 3-0, and not only did they go 3-0, but they beat the Royal Challengers and Punjab. And Punjab, who's been kind of sliding, but two very, very, very strong teams. Gujarat is tied now at 6-4 with a few different teams ahead of them, obviously behind in net run rate, but really peaking at the right time. And I kind of want to go into some of the underlying statistics of how Gujarat's turnaround has been, because similar to SRH, they started the season 2-2, so kind of a middle of the pack start. But as they say in baseball, it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish, right?
It's how you finish. Yep.
And out of the top 10 wicket takers of this tournament, 4 are from Gujarat. And Baba, do you want to take a hazard guess as to who the 4 bowlers from Gujarat are who are in the top 4? Big names. Hey, Gujarat.
Oh, no, I know. I know Kamboj doesn't play for Gujarat. He plays for CSK, right?
Yeah. Yep.
No. But when you say top 4 bowlers, I always
in the top
think
10, 4 in the top 10. Rabada, Rashid Khan, Prasidh Krishna, and quietly Mohammad Siraj, who's been very, very effective in the power play. He's played in every match for Gujarat. Sometimes we forget, he plays, second fiddle or third fiddle, whatever you want to call it, in the Indian team, especially in the Indian Test team, right? Sometimes people say he doesn't have that clout, that ability to be that alpha guy on the team. But Siraj has been very, very effective. In the last 3 matches, he took the crucial wickets of Priyansh Arya, Cooper Connolly, and today, it's May 6th. Cooper Connolly scored a century, so it's a big wicket. And Jacob Bethel, so he's been taking key wickets. I think Gujarat has been very effective with their bowlers. They've been taking a lot of wickets. I said 4 out of the top 10 have been out of the top 10 wicket takers from Gujarat. The next closest team has 1. So that really tells you the story of Gujarat. They've been chipping away at the opposition, constantly taking wickets with their experienced bowlers, and their batting, their top 3 has really pulled through. Sai Sudarshan, Shubman Gill, Joss Butler, all in the top 20 in terms of runs. So very, very strong week from Gujarat. They went 3-0 in the last week, so
Yeah.
very great from them. And then Sunrisers, on the other hand,
Hmm.
have been an absolute batting masterclass.
By the
So
way,
we
so
have,
just before you go to Sunrisers, I mean, good.
yeah,
It's really great to see Shubman Gill, doing what he does really well when he's in a good nick.
yeah,
Going back a little bit to the Test cricket, but when India was visiting England, he was in a phenomenal form, and when he scores in buckets,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's great to see him back in form, and even Sai Sudarshan, right? We talk a lot about him when from the Test perspective, but we always knew he's a great T20 player. In IPL, he has had some really good seasons. So good to see him, and also Joss Butler. So good
Yep,
shout out.
yep.
Yeah,
Butler's been doing well. Yeah,
awesome.
especially after that really ineffective T20 World Cup. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
SRH, on the other hand, right, did lose a game this week, but against
yeah.
Kolkata, who was my third winner this week. A bit of an odd one there. And if you look at the numbers a bit, right, they scored, I believe, 156 or 155 for nine, and they have not scored less than 190 in any game this season other
Yeah,
than
yeah.
that. So an
Mm.
absolute aberration on the batting front there. So you're not really going to fault them there. And snapping the 5 game winning streak as Kolkata is very surprising. So
Mm.
good on Kolkata for going 2-0 this week. Probably not going to make top four, but still good on them for doing that.
They'll
But
make
moving back
bottom
to
four.
SRH.
Yeah,
They're only 10 teams. But yeah, they'll make bottom four, most probably.
yeah.
But I think if Gujarat's strength has been their wicket taking ability, SRH's strength has been their batting prowess.
Oh my
And
God.
the top three of the top four batters in terms of runs scored this year have been from SRH, right?
Yeah.
Abhishek Sharma,
Yep.
Ishan Kishan, their stand-in
Ishan
captain.
Kishan.
Oh
Yep.
man, the pocket rocket, as they say,
Yep.
as
Yep.
Sunil Gavaskar says, and Heinrich Klaassen. And in any other season, Heinrich Klaassen's stats, who's currently the leader in runs in the IPL, very quietly,
Yeah.
would be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this guy has been absolutely tearing it up. I believe he has over 300 runs, striking at a rate over 150. So really, really positive starts from SRH. But one other statistic that I think is very interesting, very
Yep.
compelling, and very telling of this IPL in general
Yep.
has been the strike rates, right?
Nuts.
So this year, the top 5 batters in the IPL have
Yeah.
struck at 194 on average, right?
Too
And of
much.
course, Abhishek Sharma, Vaibhav, both striking above 200, being in the top 5 run scorers, unbelievable. You know what the average was from last year?
140.
157. So
157. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No.
relatively close though. Almost a 30% boost in the top run scorers
That's...
like run scoring ability.
So
So
you're saying,
it's
so Siddharth, you're saying that
yeah,
they're scoring a lot of runs and at a high, very, very high strike
much,
rate.
much, much
Much high,
higher strike
right?
rate.
Like
That I mean,
the...
that's more my point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we have used that baseball term before, right? You're batting for average and power, both,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
which is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
mean, SRH, big winners. They also beat Punjab and RCB this week.
Yeah.
Very, very big wins. Teams in front of them. Obviously, they lost to Kolkata, but again, that was a weird game. They lost, 155. That's probably not going to see that from SRH again. And then today, like obviously, May 6th, as we're recording this episode, they beat Punjab in a firecracker. Sure, they got lucky with some questionable fielding from Punjab.
Yeah.
But SRH is really flying high, winning 6 of their last 7 games. After starting 2-2, this is just awesome stuff from them.
I think we have talked about this before. They have fearsome four at the top. I know
Uh,
there are a few other teams, like, you mentioned Gujarat, that has Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill, and Joss Butler. At the same time, SRH, their top four is Travis Sheikh, followed by Ishan Kishan,
the
followed
pocket
by
rocket.
Hendrik Klassen. And then, of course, they still have other players that follow,
Nitish,
Nitish Kumar Reddy and all that.
yeah.
But their top four are just They're just
Unbelievable batters, yeah.
unbelievable. Like I
And
call them
even
fearsome
we're
four.
we're talking about Travis Head, not even in this conversation. Bro's averaging like 35 with a strike rate of over 140. I mean, he's doing good for himself. He's eating. In any other season, he'd be a top 10 batter.
Exactly.
This year,
Yeah.
SRH, every player, like their top four is all in the top 20. So it's just
Unbelievable. Yeah.
unbelievable
Yeah.
stuff from them. Yeah.
And their captain is now back, so it's good to
Yeah.
see
Come on.
Pat Cummins back in the action as a captain, as a bowler, as a leader. So yeah, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so moving on to the losers, I mean,
Ooh.
we talk about Delhi. I mean, pretty much every week
Mm.
since the first week of the season, they've just been losing out. I mean, that KL Rahul century is like wasn't enough for them,
Yeah.
and they've just been on such a skid, going 1-2 this week. Really feel bad for them.
Mm.
Um, they beat Rajasthan, which was kind of a surprising one, but no, not good. And then, of course, I think the elephant in the room, Gujarat, shocking 0-3, losing to Rajasthan uh, and Gujarat and SRH. So three teams that they're right there with, now I think tied in record with,
Yeah.
losing to all of them, really, bad signs. I mean, of course, Cooper Connolly scored that 107 today, kind of garbage, as I call it, garbage time runs.
Mm.
Um, but still, Punjab really have some thinking to do. They should still feel confident. They still have a very strong team, but
Hmm.
that early season form has really kind of skidded abruptly to a halt. And then of course, I mean Hardik Pandya, like we don't want to talk too much about Mumbai, but hopefully he's back. Spasm rumors are true, and he's in fact injured, and he hasn't been sacked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Mm.
hopefully he gets back on the path for betterment. But Hardik Pandya, another big loser this week for not the reasons we want him to be losing.
What's interesting, Siddharth, is I mean, again, right? I feel the top four would be from obviously Punjab, SRH, Rajasthan Royals, RCB, and GT, right? But what's interesting is Chennai Super Kings is hanging in there.
They are, yeah,
Yeah,
they are
and
there.
but yeah, which is interesting. And the bottom
Five and
four,
five, they're only one game behind. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, the bottom four would be most likely Delhi. Wow, unless maybe something happens between Delhi, Gujarat, and CSK, and that order swaps. But definitely Kolkata, LSG, and Mumbai. The thing would be, can they play spoiler? Right? Can they be just like SRH? You're saying losing to KKR, let's say. So as the season is winding up, right? Last 4 or 5 matches, can those not the table toppers, the table bottomers, if there's such a phrase,
Enders, table
enders,
enders,
yeah,
maybe.
can they cause some upset? So
I mean, yeah, like
cool.
Kolkata is playing RCB, Kolkata is playing Gujarat, so those are two
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
crucial games. But I think the games that I'm really looking forward to is the Gujarat versus Rajasthan game on May 9th, the
Mm.
Gujarat versus SRH game on May 12th, and the Punjab versus RCB game on May 17th. So those are three massive
Cool.
matches that we're going to be looking forward to here at
Awesome.
Cow Corner. Yeah. Before moving to MVP, let's go to what the heck first
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think there are some pretty interesting like
Sure.
things that happened this week. I
Yep.
mean, I think uh, Kolkata being the one to snap SRH's 5 game winning streak was
Mm.
quite surprising, and the way that they did, they had SRH bat first, almost bowled them out, had them dying down,
Yeah.
really choked their batting order. And then Ajinkya Rahane playing like a very, I mean, they call it a very responsible innings, but 44 of 36, it's like it's not really a T20 innings, right? It's not a typical T20 innings,
Yeah.
especially in this day and age. I mean, but then 155, like back in the day, that was something like you could defend, right?
Yeah.
This day and age, 155 is like,
Ten
oh,
overs.
155? Yeah,
10
10
overs.
overs. So that was an interesting one. I think other upsets that happened, um, I mean, CSK beating DC, that was a decent game. Rajasthan beating Punjab that to start off the week, that was a very good game. And then yeah, DC being Rajasthan as well. That was a very very compelling. So a lot of upsets this week as well. So not to
My
really
my
throw
what
shade
the
on
heck?
that.
What the heck is what? This just number of 200 plus scores. It's just
Uh,
insane.
it
I
just
mean,
like
220, 230, 240. I mean, obviously that one epic chase of 264, I think, that Punjab did a
mhm,
couple of weeks ago. But in general, the 200 plus is just
unreal.
yeah, yeah. Um, Again, some of us would, the purist, quote unquote, the folks that like Test cricket and everything else, we are like, come on. But a lot of those batters are actually playing pretty conventional shots also. So it's
Yeah,
it's interesting.
there's a lot to say about that. I think we can even have an entire episode about these flat decks, the evolution
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Indian batting and
yeah,
stuff. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot to say about that.
Flat
And then I
track
think
bullies,
flat
as
track
Jatan
bullies.
wants to call them. Okay.
And then from the last what the heck I would say is Nikki P, bro. That inning 63 of 21 and garbage time, but not just in the match for the season for Lucknow, right?
Yeah,
This interesting game that Mumbai versus Lucknow game was. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, let's
yeah.
move on to MVPs.
What do you got? Who's your MVP?
Yeah, so I mean there are three clear front runners for me.
Hmm.
I mean you've got Heinrich Classy Klassen, who's been so consistent for SRH. Just want to shout him out. We didn't really mention him too much in previous episodes, but bro was averaging 57.8 when SRH was only 3-2. This week he averaged 72 and a half, right, with one not out score. But I think really the real debate is between shout out my boy Monish, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, right? His
Yeah,
favorite with insane figures, 6 wickets for 33 runs in 7 overs. Of course, that first, that 3 of 5 for three in that like insane game where they just cooked Delhi was
yeah,
really the perler. But even the following game, where I believe RCB lost to Gujarat. He had very decent figures of 3 wickets for 25 and 4 overs. He's just been so good, leading, all the bowlers, I would say, in terms of MVP. But my boy, Ryan Rickleton, averaging 120 this week. And I just got to get on my soapbox and say, like, Ryan Rickleton, I'm a day oneer. I've loved this guy ever since I've seen him in
yeah.
Mumbai colors.
Mm.
He's been playing so well for Mumbai across, like, the South SA20 as well. I was heartbroken when they dropped in for QDK. And I like QDK. Don't get me wrong, great player.
Yeah,
But seeing Ryan Rickleton sit for QDK really hurt my heart. And seeing him come back with three big scores with an average of 120 runs in
woohoo,
3 innings,
yeah.
absolute, like, he's got to be my MVP, Ryan
Awesome.
Rickleton.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the other great shout, Siddharth. The other two players you mentioned, right? Henrik Klassen. And this might sound a little absurd, but he's one of the heads down player for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just his
Mm-hmm.
body language is so, like, if you see the way
Leading the
he hits the
runs.
ball.
Leading the runs.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he has a heads down. If you see his posture many times, he has a very heads down, I should say, body
Demeanor.
language.
Yeah.
Yeah, demeanor, that's a better word. But he hits the ball like you wouldn't believe, like
Oh,
leather.
man.
He can smash the leather out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I still remember the World Cup final against South Africa, which he should have easily won, but then
Yeah.
miracles happen. So
Hardik, yeah.
anyway, and the other player you mentioned, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, right? Again,
Movie.
very quiet, but in T20, in IPL, he still rocks it out.
Elite player, man.
Unbelievable. So today I realized Yuzvendra Chahal also had great figures actually in a match that was high scoring. He had, I think, four overs for like 32 runs or something, which is, another shout out to that veteran, between you, Bhuvaneshwar and Yuzvendra. They're 200 plus wickets in IPL. So
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to the bowlers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely in this like crazy run fest that's going on. Yeah, so I mean, we talk about IPL, IPL, IPL. My head every time I think about IPL is I want to know if you or other people know what ICL was. Indian Cricket League. You know, Siddharth, what ICL is? I'm sure you looked it up when I know I wanted to talk about it.
Very,
So
yeah, like very vaguely, yeah.
it's and obviously I remember that really clearly because it started a before IPL, and it had a very short-lived but very interesting history. So it always starts with some TV rights, broadcasting rights that leads to some company, some mogul, some conglomerate really getting angry and then starting their own league. As an example, Kerry Packer, that we talked about a while ago in Australia in 1976 77, when he couldn't get his company couldn't get the rights to broadcast the Australian matches. ABC, I think, got the rights, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. He started his own league called, we used to call it Packer Circus. And at that time, he signed up all the top players and they were all banned, blah, 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 right? We talked about that. And he changed the game completely. The playing under lights, colored clothes, white ball, it was Kerry Packer. Fast forward 2006. So in 2006, the Z telefilms or Z group, I should say, in India, they actually signed multi-million-dollar contract with BCCI, the Board of Control for Cricket in India, to broadcast or telecast India's matches outside of India, I believe. So it was a very lucrative deal for both BCCI and Z, and they went ahead with that deal. Then something really went bad or wrong, which is there was a bill that got passed that said Doordarshan, which is India's domestic channel, had to have ability or rights to broadcast India's matches, which meant the whole exclusivity with Z was lost. So Z basically said, hey, BCCI, you should renegotiate the deal. Like, we don't want to pay so much money, blah, 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 right? And they found out that BCCI actually, it seems, gave a better deal to Nimbus Corporation. So, cut the long story short, Z basically said, we are out. We want to get out of this multi-million-dollar deal. Not only that, in 2007, they started their own league called ICL, Indian Cricket League. And obviously the first World Cup, the T20 World Cup, I should say, and ICL was a T20 league. The first T20 World Cup in 2007, right? September 2007.
Yeah.
ICL started in November 2007. So the format was T20. They signed up a number of domestic, quote unquote, meaning Indian players, Pakistan, Bangladesh, international players, and BCCI obviously wasn't happy with them because it was almost like a rebel, right? So the relationship was never good. BCCI put pressure by saying if you play for ICL, you can't play for international team. Obviously, other boards followed suit. So it was a very interesting times. I do remember again ICL because this was before IPL. Kapil Dev actually was the chairman of ICL. Brian Lara actually played in ICL. So did Inzamam ul Haq. So number of players played for ICL. They had 2 seasons, and obviously in 2008, as a competition, BCCI started IPL. And then, obviously, because of all the pressure that you can't play international cricket and, you have to sacrifice a lot. So the support for ICL kind of started going down. And in 2009, BCCI said, okay, we'll give you amnesty. We'll forgive you for playing in this rebel league and you can come back to us. So it's kind of 2 years of from 2006 to 2009 is the history of Indian Cricket League. And then just to fast forward, by 2012, even Kapil Dev kind of patched up with BCCI. And he also actually was the chairman of National Cricket Academy in Bangalore. But because of the conflict of interest and the conflict between ICL and BCCI, he kind of was sacked. So, lot of drama, but it all comes down to television rights, money, and power. So, I again, every IPL season, I think about ICL. I'm just
Yeah,
an old timer.
we talk about IPL so much. We, upload all our podcasts to Spotify, to
Yeah,
YouTube, to all these big corporations.
yeah,
We're not really making any money from this, but there are
zero.
a lot of people that are making money from the sport of cricket.
Yep.
Um, because like they're people who love the game,
Yeah.
like me and you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we love the game. We could talk about the game and make no money from it and not give
Happy,
any, yeah, like we
happy,
don't
happy,
care.
happy.
But
Yeah, yeah,
people, you know, you see these guys, and this might be a bit of a tangent. You see these, like, billionaires and Bollywood stars, and I mean maybe some of them care, and a lot of them don't care about,
about the game.
hey, and I mean this is even more of a tangent because you see this in other leagues too, and I'm really scared that IPL might become something like the English Premier League,
Mm.
where and that's the English Soccer League, right? The number one flight English Soccer League, where tickets become so expensive
Yeah.
that local fans, people who are so passionate about their teams, who die for their team every Sunday,
Yep.
they don't get to go to the stadiums and
Yeah.
watch their team play because all the people who have the money, international folks, come. I mean, we're kind of guilty of this too, going to
Yeah. Yeah.
Australia and going to England, watching these test matches. But
Yeah.
people like us in those countries go and take the seats
Local.
away from them,
Locals.
right?
Locals. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and really, like, for the sport to mean anything, the people who care about it the most have to continue caring and continue being active participants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
I
gotta
mean,
we gotta
that's
always
why.
think about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I still have the special place in my heart for ICL and the way it started. To promote local players, and it had really good again started by a corporation nonetheless. So I'm not saying it was some ground up league, but it started this idea of having a league, a club cricket league with international players, and maybe they were too ahead of their time. Maybe again, a little bit of fighting
To
and,
fail,
and not.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly,
Capitalism just wins sometimes, yeah.
exactly. So anyway,
We are the ones who tell the story, We keep the legend alive.
yeah, that's why I always wanted to talk about ICL, and I think about Kapil Dev, and you if you look up, you'll see some like really some players still being a little bitter about what happened at that time. I mean, sure enough, it all got patched up and everybody moved on. But
Guys like Ambati Rayudu, I mean,
yeah, actually, Gavaskar's son played in that.
Rohan
Rohan
Gavaskar, yeah.
Rohan Gavaskar played. So I do remember ICL a lot. So I just wanted to have a conversation about ICL. So if nothing else, I think this is a wrap. Um, I'm sure Jatan would be back maybe next episode, but for sure the following episode. And again, we really, really, really appreciate folks who are listening to us regularly. We are seeing some downloads from, as our producer mentioned last time, from Japan and a lot of other different countries. So really, really appreciate all the love,
Yeah,
and we're gonna keep going, right, Siddharth?
yeah, 100%.
Awesome,
100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour. Cool. Okay, so if nothing else, this is a wrap, and this is the
Dare
Power
I
Corner.
say, 200 strike rate, 250 strike rate.
What's nuts? Okie dokes. This is a wrap. So peace out, guys. Enjoy.
See you
Later.
This episode was produced by Mukta Phatak. Music by Joe Reynolds.